Hello, welcome to the online recording for planners for SPOT. I just wanted to give you a brief overview. This is Brian McVicker from STRATA. Just wanted to give you a brief overview on the screens that are pertinent to planning groups on the SPOT side. So essentially, with the planners, the main screens that you'll be using when you're in SPMS in the main menu. If you've got the spot option selected here, a little bullet point next to that, it changes the screens that are available underneath each of these menus. So for example, underneath the calculator menu, you will find a screen called Estimates and Goals, and that's one of the main screens that you use as a planner in terms of creating the campaigns, getting an estimate number, what we call an estimate number for each campaign, or a campaign number some people call it, and entering markets and goal information. So for example, if I double click on Estimates and Goals, in this screen here you'll see the agency and office name already populate, and you have a client name drop down as well for which you can select to see specific estimates for that client. If you want to look up an existing estimate number, you can also just click on the estimate number drop down, and these are estimates that have already been created that you're able to select and see the information that was entered for media, the demo, the flight, just sort of the basic information. But if you needed to start a new estimate number, what you have to do is actually make sure that you do select a client name first from this list. So you can search through here, find the client name that you're going to be doing a campaign for, and then you can hit the new button here next to estimate number. And what will happen is the cursor just jumps into the description field. The estimate number field is blanked out. You can't tell it what estimate number you want to select. It's going to take the next one in sequence. But at this point in the description field, you're able to type in usually client name and media type and period of the campaign. Now this field is not locked. You can always come back and change it if you need to, if you make a typo or if something's missed. You can always come back in here and change this and hit the save button later. The next thing is these 5 drop-down menus when you're creating a new estimate are required. So you have to click on these drop-downs in order to select the media, product, estimate group, and daypart group. So under product, this should already have been populated with products that are specific to that client. Estimate group, you guys already have a ton of estimate groups already created here, by quarter, by year. So hopefully that's already been created. These are really for reporting, these estimate groups. There should also be, one that's just called general if you're not sure. The nice thing about estimate groups is you can change these after the fact. If you wind up choosing the wrong estimate group, it's not the end of the world. You can actually just simply change this, and there's a different screen for that. Daypart group, just make sure it matches the media name. So you're able to select TV from this daypart group in order to match that media name of TV. For primary demo, this is also a drop-down. You can type in as well. It's a type ahead, but you can select your primary demo from here, and then of course you can see there's secondary, there's tertiary, there's all the way down to 10 demos. So you can select that. Don't worry about that IMP box right now. The start date and end date, this is your flight information for this campaign. So you can type in to this field here, or you can just click on the little gray box next to it, and it'll pop up a broadcast calendar. So at this point, you're able to double click to select the date that you want as your start. So if I was going to go with the broadcast start of that month of December, I can just double click on that date for the start, and then I can click on the gray box next to end date, and I can double click on what I want as the end date for that month. And if you're going to extend it out, you can basically just hit the arrow button, and that will forward you through to the other months of the year. And so this from this broadcast calendar. The start time and end time defaults to 5 a.m. to 4:59 a.m., which corresponds to the Nielsen broadcast day. So just leave that as is. Don't worry about changing that. Due date is a field that only shows on the estimate goal report. Most people don't wind up using it, so you can just leave that as is. Separation, leave it at 30. It stands for 30-minute separation between spots. It can be changed, but for the most part, you're not really going to be worrying about that one. Flight option This is essentially how do you want to place spots? How are spots going to be placed by the buyer? If you're dealing with a pretty lengthy flight, weekly is going to be the default that you want to use. If it's going to be a short flight, like a very short, radio promotion for 10 days or whatever, you can select daily if you know the buyer is going to be placing spots by day. This comment box, you can enter in comments that are specific to the campaign only, and this can show on the header of reports such as the station order and the buy detail report, special format. Other reports like that can show this in the header. The goal options, this is where you want to select how you're going to be entering goals. Are you going to be doing it by week or day? Or are you going to be doing just a bottom line flight goal? Are you entering GRP goals or gross impressions? The by week or day is the default, and then as well as GRPs. The gross impression is normally used on the network module, not so much on Spot. And then this option here, enter goal GRPs to the first decimal place. What that is if you have it flagged, it basically means if you enter a GRP amount for the goal that has a decimal place, such as 100.5, it won't round that up or down depending on what the decimal place is. So if you do enter something that is 105.7 or 105.8, it's not going to round it up to 106. But once you've got these items entered, your description, these 5 drop downs, and your start and end date, those are pretty much the main things. You can hit the save button, and that's going to take you into the goal screen. So at this point you can add in markets. You can do this by clicking this button up here in the upper left hand corner. You can actually hold down your control key and you can left click to select multiple markets. So you can add in here as many as you need to, but you can also just scroll through and find the market that you need and just double click on it to add it to the list. So if I wanted to double click and add Los Angeles and then also Little Rock, I could double click on those and I could scroll through here and find another market that I needed, and just keep double clicking to add in the market names. You can also click here where you find the line with the asterisk next to it. This is a type ahead, so that if I wanted to add in Chicago, I could just type it in that way. So with entering goals, basically these are done at a market level. So if I select Los Angeles, I can enter in a market level GRP amount here. I can enter in a budget for that market here as well, and I can hit this apply changes to have it carry down to the weekly and day part goals section. For entering goals by week and day part, if you were going to enter in a GRP amount for each week, you would flag the little bullet point next to GRP here, and then you're able to type in what you're going to be, what the goal is going to be for GRPs per week. So you can just simply type in here an arrow down and it'll fill in that amount. And if you have any weeks that are hiatus, you can flag this button and it'll gray that week out, so you don't have to worry about typing anything in there by accident. Usually whenever you type something in, it's best to hit this apply changes button. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You can actually, it'll ask you if you click somewhere else if you want to apply those changes or not. And then for the day part goals, you'll see that it already put in a default day part code here. If you're going to add in others, you can actually click on the drop down and you can add in additional day part codes that you're going to be goaling for. Or I always recommend using this add day parts button over here, mainly because it's got the same list, but you could double click and more quickly add in the codes that you're going to be goaling for. Now in order to enable this percent column, I need to go back over here to the middle of the screen and select GRP percent. And then it'll activate that column so I can actually type in the percent value by which I'm going to break out these GRP goals for each week. So I'm able to type in here how many I'm going to, what my percent breakout is going to be for each day part, and then I'm able to hit apply changes. And then at that point you can hit the save button over here in the lower right corner and that will save it for LA. Now you could click to another market and follow the same steps in entering those goals, or if you wanted to, if you go under goals up here on the top, there's options to copy those. I could copy what I entered for LA to another market that's already on this estimate, such as Chicago or Little Rock, or I can go through new markets and I can actually double click and add a new market here and it will copy those goals from LA to that new market. So once you're done with this, what most people use at the once they've got the goals entered is they'll use the report. If you go under the stack of newspapers, under schedules, estimates, and goals, there is an estimate goal report. This is something that you can print out for your own reference, or if a client needs to see this, you can double click on this and you can search by client name, or you can search by estimate number. And once you click on this drop down, you can double click and select your estimate number, flag the items that you want to show. You can also change the date. If you have a very long flight for a quarter but you just want to show the goals for a month, you can actually just change that date range here. And once you're in the print preview screen, from this you can actually print it, or you can export it. If you go up here to the top, there's a little floppy disk, and you can click on this floppy disk to export this as a PDF or an Excel file and save that and email it, whichever you need to do. But you'll see how it basically splits out per market. You know, there's a page for each market with the market goals, the weekly, and the day part mix that you've got here. And those are pretty much the main screens that you wind up using most often. If you needed to search for any scheduled information, if you go back under the calculator, you can use the schedule status screen. And from here you can actually select an estimate number to see if there's any buys placed on it, if that was something that you needed to do. But for the most part, that estimate and goal screen and the report are going to be the main things that you wind up using. So hopefully this has been helpful, and you can let me know if there are any other questions. Thank you very much.